MailChimp is great, but it's not cheap. Today we are going to build a free and reliable email engine just using Google Sheets and this simple automation on n8n. You will copy my template, watch me build it step by step, and learn a practical way to keep your emails out of spam. And in the end, I will show you how you can switch to any paid services such as MailChimp without rewriting anything in your automation. What I created is a framework that you can use for send email for your user or your leads. This framework that we are going to do, you will have the totally control of that, because follow this Google Sheet, you will assign the step that any user or lead will follow. That say the first day you are going to send an email, the second step will be another email, the third step will be another email as well. We define here what is the email ID, here the email body, we decide what is the email subject, and this is super important. After how many days we are going to send another email. In this case, this is the first one, 0. The second one, after the 2 days, I'm going to send another email. The next step, after 2 days more, I'm gonna send the third email. I define my emails in the another sheet here in the Google Sheet. I have here a plenty HTML, but it's up to you what you want to send. And here you define by email ID. This email ID is the same that we have here. That is that we use to identify which email template we have to send. This automation will do automatically based on the user on our database and send the email daily. We set up a OneNote to avoid the spam that we are going to see later. Let's do a quickly demo how the automation works. Let's say I have one user on my database. I create this mock database and mock data just to the demo, right? And I'm going to simulate the execution, the daily execution, because this will be execution alone daily. And let's see how it's going. Click here, start execution. Here is where all the logic is. Now it's sending the email, waiting a little bit for the email. It's done and update the databases. Now, if we take a look, this was the email, the first email. And now if we take a look here in the database, I have to refresh my database. And we can see here the lead state has changed. Now it's number 1, it's not 0. And the last email sending was updated because this is automatically updated because I added a trigger in the database that I'm going to show you later. This video has 2 prerequisites. First of all, you have to know about database and create account. It's super easier. It's just following the steps, and in the end of the creation of the account, you will be in something like this in this dashboard. And another requirement is create an n8n account. If you need special discount on n8n, I'm gonna leave to you a link where you can apply for the discount. Before jumping to create this beautiful and useful automation, I will ask you if you can subscribe to this channel and click on like, because that helps me so much to grow this channel. Well, let's start creating the new workflow just to create the entire automation. We have to start with a trigger that is a scheduled trigger. This trigger execute. In this case, it will be daily, but that's up to you. It's by minute, by hours, by week, by month. Days between trigger is between how many days between the trigger. This will be the execution. Also, you can choose what will be the hour of the execution. That's based on the time of the n8n instance. I'm gonna set up num. The same, you can set up a minute even. Okay, what is the first step? Let's take a look. Is get the Google Sheet map, right? I guess you already have the configuration of the Google credential to access to Google Sheet. If not, let me know in the comments and I can create a quick video for that. Well, what we are going to do is get rows. We have to select here the document and what is the sheet. And in this case, it's only email processes, right? After that, I'm going to get, if we execute that, we are going to see we have first item and after that we have 3 items. That means that after here we are going to execute 3 times any node, and I would like to avoid that. I would like to group in only 1 item. That's why I use aggregated, creating here. I have to select all data, all item in 1 data, and now execution, and we can see here how it's going. Okay, everything nice until this point. What is the next step? Going to the databases. Before going to the databases, I have to explain that you have to run a query in Supabase. I'm going to show you what is the query and explain what is the query. This is the query that you have to execute on Supabase. But I will say the important fields are email for sure is mandatory. What else is mandatory? I will say lead stage, because this is needed for the automation, and the last email sent as well. This is optional because that is for my use cases, and this is optional as well. Here a couple indices, it is up to you if you want to apply, but this is super important, this trigger. This trigger is to, once you update the lead stage, automatically update the last email sent. This is part of the automation itself, because without this you will have to update manually in the automation, and this way is automatically in the databases. And this is just creating a mock data with my email. Well, what you have to do here on Supabase is click on SQL editor, copy and paste the query, and just click on run, execute. That is not needed for me in this point because I already create my databases, my mock databases, but with that you can just create a database and that's it. Remember, only this and email are the requirement fields to the data, to the automations. The rest is up to you, is up your use case. Well, the next step, Supabase, right? We have to get all the emails to start the evaluation. Get many is here, and we have to select here. And this case for me is only lead test. Okay, cool. Let's run this and evaluate what's happened. Okay, cool. What's happened without the aggregator? Without the aggregator, we are going to execute the database 3 times, and it's not desired. In this case, we are going to execute only 1 time. After here, what we have to do is apply the logic. Here, usually, is something that you can code by yourself or use ChatGPT or any LLM to create your custom code running here in this function or code node. In this case, I'm going to copy and paste. Well, what's wrong? Where is this guy? Well, seems like something is not going well, but well, I can copy and paste this guy. And this. And that's it for my side. And well, something important here, because right now I have only 1 item on my databases. But what happens if I have, for example, 500 instead of only 1? That will create 500 items, and will execute this node so many times. That's why here I'm going to add another aggregate, but I'm going to use the same because it requires use the same name here just to keep the logic safely. Okay, cool. Now we are going to execute that. Waiting for that. Okay, we previously in the demo execute the automation, and that's the reason why send email is false, because we already sent the email and our math tell us after 2 days we are going to send the second emails. That means the logic here is working as expected. I'm gonna copy and paste this entire logic, and I'm gonna explain to you. Well, what's happened here? Based on the previous response, I'm going to send the email or not. In this point, if I have 500, this execute 500 times. Okay, cool. I'm gonna show you this example. Maybe if I switch to my real database, right? And just I would like to not use this yet and execute just to show you how it's going and the numbers. Well, here was 50 item, but it's only because I have a limit. But if I return all and execute again, we are going to see that we have the execution so many times, and that is good. It's one execution for each of the leads that I have in the databases. Okay, cool. And this is to send. We are going to implement the logic to send emails in other workflow, and it's up to you if you want to set up the logic in the same workflow or in another canvas, basically. Let's say this is email automation YouTube tests, right? This will be the automation that we are going to email YouTube tests, that we are going to call, right? Okay, cool. My automation, this automation related with the send the email, will respond with something. Email sent or not. If the email was sent, what I have to do is use the Supabase and update this item, because I have to increase the number in the lead stage. But for that, I'm gonna copy and paste this, sorry for that, just to save time. Okay, cool. And I'm going to connect this and explain. What we have here is something was wrong in the middle of the sending email process. I would like to notify to my Telegram. You have to know your chat ID and send to me a message saying, in this case, error sending email, please review the automation, and stop error here. But if not, we will need to update our databases. What we have to do here is add a conditional, and here search by any ID field. Add the conditional will be equal and equal to our lead ID, right? And we are going to assign what will be the field to update. In this case, is lead stage, and we are going to apply the lead stage, the current lead stage +1, right? This way, say in the next execution, the next day, this lead will be the next number, and based on the data that we have in the Google Sheet, this we're going to take a look this guy, because this is the next step, and evaluate if the date to send is correct or not to send the email. Cool. We already have this, but now we have to create this step, right? I'm gonna copy and paste and explain step by step. I think this way will be cool, right? And let's move this, align here. what we have here, we have this node, basically, trigger, right? And in the trigger, we have when executed by another workflow, and we assign an email ID, an address, a username, and provider. What is provider? Provider is, in this case, is Gmail. We are going to use the Gmail node. But in case that you want to use MailChimp or any external services to send your email, you can create here as the provider and just add in here in this switch this provider. And this is super important point. Why? As you can see here, we could have 500, 1000, 2000 executions, right? And this will be messy if you call this node 200 times in the same time, at least almost in the same time, because the execution is so fast. This will create 1000 execution if you have 1000 items with 1000 execution almost in the same time, and you will get errors here because you will call the API so many times in a small slot of time. And also you will have issues with your email because the email engines will select your emails as a spam. That's why I set up this wait. We are going to wait, in this case, 5 seconds, but you can increase. And if you increase, will be more reliable for the email engines or email systems such as Gmail. Cool. What is the next step? Now we have the email ID, right? The email ID is calculated by this guy, by the code. And now with that, we are going to select the next, it's the same document, but now we are going to select another sheet, the template guide, the template one, right? And we are going to apply a filter. You click on Add Filter, the column is ID, and you will assign the email ID, right? And this way, if we execute until this point, just waiting a bit because the waiting node is there. Okay, we get only the row needed, right? And here we apply a if, because always is needed. If HTML exists, that means the rest of the code is execution. If not, throw error and stop. We have here another code, but it's just in case, because let me show you something. We have here an username, right? And here, if we take a look, here it say, hey, first name. We are going to replace this to the username. That's why we have this logic here, right? And that's it. And just to, if there is any name here, we'll leave empty. Only say hey in this case. We're going to create the HTML provided the previous node, right? If we execute that, just to show you, pretty nice. We already set up Simon, and this will be the email. And here we switch depend on what is the provider. We have a custom one and we have a Gmail. For my case, I am using Gmail, but maybe in the future I will need more features and maybe I can migrate to MailChimp as an email sender, or Resend will be great as well, and I can keep this framework working for me. Here, super simple, and you will set up who will be, what is the address that we are going to send. The subject is assigned by the previous nodes. HTML, here we set up email type, and this will be HTML. And that's it. Based on the response, we respond if the email was sent or not. This is how you can create your entire automation, your entire email engine for free. And the best part, that is a framework, because let's say I have in this case only 3 steps, but you can have 10 steps and define after how many days you will send an email. It's basically up to you, and you can edit or change the data here, the email's content, anytime. To keep safe your sending and no DNS required, just follow these tips. Start with a small data set, like a 200, 500, maybe 2000. Email only opt-in contact. That is super important. Simple templates is important here. Keep simple as possible. Minimal links. If possible, just plain text. Another tip is one clear action per mail. Just click on redirect. That's avoid spam and avoid spamming words. This is important. Through it in the workflow, but sends and spade then out. If you follow this, you will avoid the spam on the engine's emails. Remember, you can download a completed template, including the automation, this CSV, the Google Sheet template, and also the Supabase query. Just click on the comment, the link to download it. What happens if you want to add external services? As I told you before, you have to add a new path here and a new provider. Just click here, add new routing, right? And let's say now copy and paste this, and let's say MailChimp. This will be my new email sender. Okay, that's nice. This is totally achievable for this automation without writing anything. Now you have a totally free email engine controlled by yourself using Google Sheet, without saving sending rules and clean stage flow. No DNS needed. Grab this template because that will be super helpful for you, and follow the description that I left in the link. If you want to start in your process created AI agents and automation, I have something for you. I have my mentorship program where I will be your mentor, following you step by step what you have to do to become an AI agent developer, and we are going to working together on your first AI agents on production.